For some stories, you just got to talk about it in black and white. Dateline, September 2025. Russian drones are on the march, crossing over the Polish border as Allied forces in Europe ready their response. Here at home, Chancellor Trump springs into action, performing his terrifying war dance. Sorry, ladies, he's swollen.
Sure. But there was one performance this year that stunned me. There was nothing good about it, but it was effective and it did its job. It made its intended audience laugh when the person asking to sit in the most respected seat in our country imitated a disabled reporter, someone he outranked in privilege, power, and the capacity.
Stephen Colbert and Meryl Streep bring two very different weapons to their roast of Donald Trump, and together the impact is devastating. Colbert's strength lies in sharp wit, relentless precision, and the art of comedic dismantling. Streep's power is elegance, forged into steel, delivered with the authority of someone who has mastered the art of commanding attention without ever raising her voice. Side by side, they unravel the illusion of Trump's self-image, stripping away the bluster to reveal a fragile truth. What surfaces is not victory, but parody, a cautionary spectacle of ego stretched far beyond reason.
Today, I gotta say this, today Donald Trump's horoscope should have warned him he'd have a surprise run-in with a long-lost pervert, because the story of his disturbing friendship with Jeffrey Epstein keeps getting more. Earlier this summer, the Wall Street Journal reported that back in 2003, Trump contributed to a book for Epstein's 50th birthday, and the letter he wrote was a Picasso of...
If we live through this precarious moment, if his catastrophic instinct to retaliate doesn't lead us to nuclear winter, we will have much to thank this president for, because he will have woken us up to how fragile freedom.
Colbert opens by likening Trump's career to a marathon of bloopers dressed up as achievements. From the casinos that hemorrhaged money to the branding flops, every so-called milestone feels less like a legacy and more like a running gag. In his hands, Trump's supposed triumphs become exhibits of pure chaos. He casts the presidency as the ultimate miscasting, a showman skilled at selling illusions suddenly forced to deliver reality. The clash is comedic gold, but beneath the laughter lies a tragedy of staggering proportions.
Thankfully, with Europe on the brink of war, America has a statesman in office who can reassure the world with a steady hand and calming words. Today he posted, "What's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go." I can't believe Russia would dare take an aggressive action like this after Trump laid down a clear...
Streep adds gravity by dissecting Trump's persona as if she were studying a character on stage. Her critique isn't loud, but it's devastatingly precise. She points out the tells, the insecurity hidden behind constant self-promotion, the desperation tucked into exaggerated gestures, the hollowness beneath his endless stream of superlatives. Streep reveals not a leader, but a caricature, convinced by his own script. Her delivery highlights the absurdity of confusing performance with governance, because in her world, performance is art. In Trump's, it became a desperate survival tactic.
Kind of broke my heart when I saw it, and I still can't get it out of my head because it wasn't in a movie. It was real life. And this instinct to humiliate by someone powerful, it filters down into everybody's life because it kind of gives permission for other people to do the same thing. Disrespect invites disrespect. Violence incites violence. When the powerful use their position to bully others, we all lose. And we have to remind each other of the privilege and the responsibility of the act of empathy.
Colbert then zeroes in on Trump's relationship with the truth. He points out how fact-checkers practically became a cottage industry during his tenure, scrambling to keep pace with the constant distortions. He ridicules the creation of entire narratives, likening it to a novelist who skips editing and releases rough drafts as official policy. The humor is razor sharp. Trump didn't just bend facts to fit arguments, he built a world where facts bent to his ego. Colbert skewers the endless improvisation, exposing how a presidency propped up by exaggeration inevitably buckled under the weight of reality.
There's one bit of good news, and strangely, it comes from Washington, D.C., because today, right? Today marks the end of Trump's executive order taking control of the city. This means the police force is returned to the city's hands, and just in time, because Trump's hands have begun to smell a little gamey. Trump claims his 30-day fascist makeover reduced crime by 100.
Streep builds on this by exposing how Trump's rhetoric is stripped of nuance, leaning on volume and repetition instead of depth. She contrasts it with the craft of a seasoned actor who must embody layers, truth, and contradiction. Trump, she argues, delivers the opposite, a one-note performance shouted through a microphone. Streep underscores the tragic comedy of a man who confuses noise with power and mistakes sheer presence for gravitas. Her critique cuts deep because it comes from an understanding of true performance, and by that measure, Trump's stagecraft collapses.
And so it came down to her. She was one of the only women who was in business at that time, and she ran the paper only because she inherited it.
It's funny because I feel like if this movie had come out 2 years ago, our reaction would be, oh, it's unthinkable that a newspaper wouldn't print this information because the president told them not to. But now it doesn't seem so unthinkable anymore. And is that a total coincidence that this movie came out now and was made during this administration?
Well, I think the assault on the press and freedom of the press and the attempt to, by government to shut down a story is something that's risen over and over again since, Brave New World. But
since this weekend.
Colbert turns to Trump's rallies, painting them as traveling comedy shows where the same tired material was recycled into parody. Audiences weren't getting strategy or solutions, just the verbal equivalent of leftovers served again and again. The punchline? Trump became a touring act hooked on applause, mistaking cheers for policy approval. Colbert nails it by framing him as a comedian unaware he's the joke. Streep magnifies the emptiness of the spectacle, stripping away the lights and noise to reveal what remains when the shouting stops. Nothing but fear of silence. She shows how Trump's need for constant validation mirrors an insecure actor who can't trust his performance without applause. The rallies, she argues, were less about strength and more confessions of fragility. Colbert then skewers Trump's endless contradictions, mocking his habit of flipping positions overnight like bad improv where the actor forgets the setup. Every denial, reversal, and rebrand fuels Colbert's cutting humor, exposing a man who sold certainty but governed through chaos.
According to the Journal's reporting, his note was framed by a hand-drawn outline of a naked woman and featured what appeared to be the future president's signature as a squiggly Donald below her waist, mimicking pubic hair. But wait, there's more. The note read in part, "Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret."
Streep uses her authority to expose the hollowness of Trump's self-styled gravitas, contrasting his bombast with the true presence that comes from authenticity, not spectacle. He mistakes force for persuasion, while she calmly lets his emptiness speak for itself. Colbert sharpens the blow by mocking Trump's obsession with legacy, ridiculing dreams of statues and airports in his name. Instead, he imagines textbooks recording calamity, not achievement. The comedy is brutal. Trump chased grandeur but secured ridicule, leaving only a monument of chaos. Streep drives it home, noting history remembers substance, not spectacle. Trump mistook visibility for permanence, failing to see that the brightest flames fade fastest. His desperation to be immortalized has made him unforgettable for all the wrong reasons. Her final line lands like prophecy, History does not preserve noise, it preserves meaning.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump got the Meryl Streep treatment this week. Not necessarily a good thing. Take a look. Monday, she put on a spray tan, a belly of a sort, and a big red tie to deliver a Trump impression.
Close up, my Shakespeare, and the women you will bow with the wife of the British ambassador.
Colbert dives into Trump's governing style, portraying it as a reality show stretched into public office. Every crisis, a cliffhanger. Every scandal, a plot twist. Every press briefing, a teaser for the next episode. But unlike TV, the stakes were real. He skewers the absurdity of confusing spectacle with stability, mocking a presidency performed as entertainment. For Streep, that's the ultimate tragedy. A man cast in history's greatest role, yet determined to play it like cheap reality TV. Together, they dismantled Trump's obsession with appearing strong. Colbert notes how loud declarations of toughness only exposed weakness, each claim of dominance a tell of insecurity. Streep cuts deeper, pointing out that true strength never needs self-advertisement. His endless proclamations revealed not confidence, but fear. Their combined critique is merciless, exposing the fragility behind the facade.
On Friday, Donald Trump signed an executive order to rebrand the Defense Department as the Department of War. Ooh, a rebrand. You know what that means. The Pentagon is getting bangs. It's just fresh.
Colbert takes one last swing at Trump's desperate quest for relevance, noting how even out of office he clings to every microphone as if silence might erase him. The picture is bleakly comic, a man once holding the highest office now addicted to attention, unable to leave the stage with dignity. Colbert's humor cuts deep because it captures the desperation of a figure who cannot bear irrelevance. Streep closes with devastating calm, insisting the story isn't finished because Trump won't let it be. Every attempt to reclaim the spotlight only guarantees the comedy continues, each grasp for recognition writing the next scene. The roast doesn't need a closing line. Trump provides the material himself, and history will keep recording every act until the curtain finally falls.
Denied everything and sued the Wall Street Journal for $20 billion, calling the letter, you guys were a little late. Now, calling the letter non-existent. Turns out existent, because yesterday, the House Oversight Committee released it, and whoops-a-puby, that sure as hell looks legit. It's directly from the Jeffrey Epstein estate. It's exactly what the Wall Street Journal reported, and the signature identically matches a bunch of ones from the same era. And you know what they say, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, that duck should not be allowed within 300 yards of a school.
Colbert circles back to Trump's obsession with appearances, skewering the fixation on crowd sizes, inflated attendance claims, and staged photos meant to project popularity. He jokes that Trump measured legitimacy not by policy or results, but by the number of bodies crammed into an arena, a carnival barker mistaking foot traffic for history. Streep builds on this, noting that real influence doesn't need constant reminders. The tragedy, she says, is that Trump mistook nostalgia for relevance, exposing only creative bankruptcy through repetition. Colbert then rips into Trump's addiction to superlatives. Everything, the best, the biggest, the greatest, as if he were running a clearance sale on adjectives. The punchline stings. When every achievement is the greatest in history, none of them mean anything. His bravado collapses under its own weight, leaving only echoes of empty boasts.
Trump explained his reasoning for this unreasonable decision.
We've been talking about this Department of War. So we won the First World War, we won the Second World War, we won everything before that and in between, and then we decided to go woke and we changed the name to Department of Defense.
Yes, we went woke. Remember, they changed it to the Department of Defense during the Truman administration. You know, that famously woke era. After all, they did drop the atomic bomb from the Enola Gay.
Streep pivots to Trump's uneasy relationship with culture, mocking his desperate attempts to seek validation from celebrities, athletes, and artists who never wanted him in their circles. To her, it reveals the insecurity of a man craving inclusion but unable to face critique, an outsider trying to buy his way into rooms where respect can't be purchased. Colbert then turns to the revolving door of Trump's cabinet, comparing it to a sitcom that couldn't hold a cast together. Every firing, resignation, or scandal became another subplot in a comedy of dysfunction, with Trump less a president than a hapless director unable to stop his production from falling apart. Streep follows by dissecting his treatment of allies and rivals. Loyalty was demanded, but never returned. Praise expected, while criticism was punished. It's the behavior of a fragile performer who can't tolerate reviews unless they're glowing. Her point lands with force. True strength embraces accountability, while Trump recoiled from it at every turn.
Despite all this evidence, Trump's allies are pretending that there's no evidence. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson today.
Mr. Speaker, do you think the Trump birthday note to Epstein is real?
I don't. They say it's not.
I don't think it's real. They say it's not. While I have you seen the president's new clothes? He's hired the finest tailor in all the kingdom. Now he has gorgeous robe.
Colbert sharpens the edge by mocking Trump's endless grievances. Every setback spun into persecution, every challenge a conspiracy. He paints a picture of a man who can only thrive as a victim, addicted to narratives where the world conspires against him. The irony, Colbert jokes, is that Trump longed to be remembered as a conqueror, yet his legacy reads more like the diary of someone convinced everyone stole his spotlight. Streep closes with quiet devastation, pointing out that history often rewards leaders who know when to step aside. Trump's refusal ensures his relevance is defined by desperation, the saddest kind of encore, an actor bowing long after the applause has ended. The image lingers, a man chasing an audience that has already left the theater. And so the dismantling continues. Each reckless outburst, each clumsy attempt to rewrite history adds new material faster than satire can keep up. Neither Colbert nor Streep needs to deliver a finale because Trump himself guarantees the roast will never end.